It started with a note taped to the front door. Bold red letters screaming across cheap paper. Noticed residents of Willow Creek are prohibited from outdoor movement after 8 p.m. HOA. Enforcement Rule 23. Daniel frowned. Willow Creek? He didn't even live there. His address 217 Oak Bend Drive fell outside the HOA boundary. His street wasn't part of their gated community. He didn't pay their fees and didn't attend their meetings. Yet somehow, their rules had started creeping into his life. First, it was the note. Then came the patrol car, not police, but a white SUV with HOA enforcement stenciled on the side, prowling his road like it owned the place. That night, when Daniel went to take out the trash at 8:15 p.m., the SUV's lights flashed red and blue imitation police lights. "Sir, curfew violation," shouted a man in a navy polo shirt. "Return inside immediately." Daniel thought it was a prank, but when they blocked his driveway and started writing a violation notice, he realized something far darker was happening, and that was just the beginning. Because the next day, the HOA claimed his entire block was now under their extended jurisdiction. Only problem, Daniel was about to prove just how illegal that was. For years, Daniel had lived quietly at the edge of Willow Creek, a well-kept neighborhood famous for its rigid HOA board. Their bylaws ran hundreds of pages, covering everything from mailbox color to grass height. He'd always been thankful his property was just outside their border, while his neighbors inside complained about constant inspections. Daniel enjoyed freedom. He built a small shed, parked his truck wherever he wanted, and let his kids play basketball in the driveway without fear of violations. But things started changing after the HOA elected a new president, Mark Ellison. Mark was a retired military officer with a reputation for control. He promised to restore order and expand community oversight. And to him, Daniel's street was unregulated territory. At first, Mark sent letters inviting non-member homes to join voluntarily. Most ignored him, including Daniel. Then the tone changed. Mailboxes began appearing at the edge of Oak Bend Drive with the Willow Creek logo. HOA patrols parked nearby for community safety. And finally, those curfew notices arrived, unsigned but clearly from the board. When Daniel called the county zoning office, the clerk sighed. "You're not under their authority," she confirmed. "They have no jurisdiction beyond Willow Creek's recorded boundaries." "Then why are they issuing curfews?" "Because," the clerk said bitterly, "they've gotten away with it before. Most people don't fight back." That was the moment Daniel decided he would fight back. The next evening, Daniel walked out at 8:30 p.m., intentionally breaking their so-called rule. Within minutes, the same white SUV pulled up. Two men stepped out, one with a clipboard, the other with a camera. "Sir, you've been warned about curfew," the taller one said. "We're recording this violation." Daniel laughed. "Violation of what? I'm not in your HOA." This block was annexed under the extended jurisdiction resolution, the man snapped. "Show me." He handed Daniel a photocopy of a document stamped with the Willow Creek HOA logo and signed by Mark Ellison himself. It looked official, but Daniel noticed something. No county seal, no notary, nothing legal. "This isn't recognized by the county," Daniel said, handing it back. The man's tone hardened. "You'll regret saying that. Every resident must comply. We can fine you." "Try," Daniel said. "Then I'll see you in court." The next morning, an envelope appeared in his mailbox. A notice of fine $150 for curfew violation. It was absurd. Daniel hadn't agreed to their rules, but when he tried to report them to local law enforcement, the deputy shrugged. "HOA disputes are civil matters, sir. File a complaint." Daniel realized the HOA had crafted this power, carefully bluffing their way into authority no one challenged. So, he started digging. Late into the night, he combed through county maps, land records, and property plats, and what he found made his jaw drop. The HOA's own boundary map clearly excluded his entire street. They were illegally expanding and using intimidation to make it stick. Now, Daniel had proof, and he was about to use it. He decided to confront Mark Ellison directly. He walked into the next HOA meeting, held in their pristine clubhouse, and placed his phone on the table, recording. Mark sat at the head like a king. "You're not a member," he barked. "This is private." "Then stop sending me fines," Daniel said. He held up the boundary map. "This is from the county recorder's office. Your jurisdiction ends 200 feet before my driveway." The room went silent. Board members shifted uncomfortably, but Mark smiled. "We're expanding. The county hasn't processed our new declaration yet." Daniel leaned forward. "You mean you filed it, but it was rejected?" "I checked. Mark's smile faltered. I'm not paying your fake fines. Daniel continued, and if you harass me again, I'll file charges for impersonation and unlawful restraint. Mark slammed the table. You think you can threaten us? This community follows rules. Daniel picked up his phone calmly. Then maybe the sheriff's office should know you're pretending to enforce curfew laws. He walked out, heart pounding. But that night, it got worse. At 8:10 p.m. He saw flashing lights again, 3 HOA vehicles this time. They parked across his driveway. Daniel stepped outside, recording. This is harassment, he shouted. One of the officers yelled, return inside. You're in violation. When Daniel refused, they called 911 claiming a non-compliant resident. But when the real police arrived, the officer quickly realized what was happening. Wait, the deputy said, glancing between Daniel and the hole. Pat Rolls, he's not part of your HOA. You can't detain him. Mark's men tried to argue, but the deputy cut them off. Do that again, the deputy warned, and you'll face impersonation charges. Daniel thought it was over, but the next morning, someone had vandalized his mailbox, spray painted "Traitor" across it in red. That's when he knew this wasn't about rules anymore. It was about control, and he had to strike back hard. Daniel gathered every document, video, and recording the fake fines, curfew notices, and patrol footage. Then, he contacted a local investigative reporter, Emily Rhodes, who specialized in HOA corruption. When she saw the footage of fake officers flashing lights and shouting commands, she was stunned. They're impersonating law enforcement, she said. That's a criminal offense. Within a week, Emily's expose aired on the local evening news. HOA overreach, homeowners accused of enforcing curfews beyond their authority. The story went viral. County officials suddenly revisited Willow Creek's filings, discovering multiple violations, including false annexation attempts. Mark Ellison went on record claiming it was a misunderstanding, but his smug tone turned defensive when reporters showed Daniel's footage. Soon after, the county issued a cease and desist order. HOA patrols were banned from operating off Willow Creek property. The fake fines were declared void. But Daniel wasn't done. He filed a civil harassment claim and a criminal complaint for impersonation. The county prosecutor agreed, citing misuse of authority and illegal enforcement. 2 months later, Mark Ellison resigned under pressure, and the HOA faced a $25,000 penalty for unlawful jurisdictional expansion. The neighborhood that once bullied outsiders was suddenly quiet, humbled. For Daniel, it wasn't about revenge, it was about principle. He stood on his porch one night, finally breathing easy as the clock hit 9 p.m. No flashing lights, no threats, just silence, freedom the way it always should have been. Months later, Daniel's story had become a local legend. Residents from nearby neighborhoods began sharing their own experiences. HOA intimidation, fake rules, bullying tactics. His case inspired the county to draft new regulations limiting HOA enforcement authority, requiring all patrol vehicles to be registered and clearly labeled as non-law enforcement. Emily's follow-up article quoted Daniel, "If people stop questioning authority, abuse becomes normal. That's how they win through fear." Willow Creek eventually elected a new board, one that dissolved the curfew policy entirely and reimbursed several residents for fake fines. Daniel never joined the HOA, but sometimes he'd drive past their gated entrance, watching as the new president waved politely. The same entrance that once symbolized control, now guarded by humility. He smiled, thinking back to that first night when they told him he couldn't step outside after 8 p.m. Now, the entire county knew they couldn't stop him. And perhaps the most satisfying part, when Mark Ellison tried to run for another HOA board in a neighboring community, his application was denied permanently, disqualified due to past conduct unbecoming of a community officer. Justice had a way of coming full circle. As Daniel said in his final interview, they thought they owned the neighborhood. Turns out, they didn't. Avowed their own power.